All right, so we got a little bit of an interesting project going on here. It's a 1959 Series 2 in its original sand paint. And I've always wanted a early 2A or 2 in sand patina, but they're actually really hard to find compared to marine blue trucks, pastel green trucks, or even poppy red. You never see the sand paint, and especially not in its original paint. So I found this truck about a month ago up in New Hampshire, and it was already completely disassembled. So everything was off the frame, and after seeing the photos, I realized the body panel still had most of the original paint. The fenders were repainted on the front, but most of the original paint was there. So I drove up to New Hampshire and bought this kind of package of parts because it wasn't a truck that was fully assembled. It was already disassembled. So I brought the parts back and we began to clean up the paint using some gray Scotch Brite and then 3000 just to bring out this luster. So if you look at the body panels, you'll see they do have a nice sheen, and you can see the original paint has worn through to the aluminum in some areas, but most of it is still intact, and it has just years of dings and scratches and just a lot of character to it. So we realized the body panels were looking pretty good. The bulkhead, on the other hand, was not. First of all, I've had really bad luck with sandblasting Series 2 bulkheads. For some reason, they seem to rust from the inside out more than Series 2A and Series 3 bulkheads. So I didn't feel like the bulkhead would be usable. So we used this new bulkhead. It's a new aftermarket bulkhead from Rover's North. And this is a great bulkhead because it's galvanized, so it'll essentially never rust. So we started off the project with the new bulkhead and all of the original body panels. We did a mock-up of all those body panels on a new galvanized frame. Actually, it's a galvanized frame, but it's a used galvanized frame. But galvanized frames seem to last a pretty good amount of time, so I had no problem with using this used one. So we did the mock-up. And the next challenge was to straighten all of the mangled fenders and quarter panel, and that took quite a bit of panel beating to make them somewhat Rover shaped again. This truck had seen some really heavy usage and was probably off the road since possibly 1969. The plates had a 1969 date on them. So we got the body panels straightened, but we don't want to make everything perfect. We want to maintain the character of the vehicle, so there's no reason to replace any of the original body panels. We just simply straightened them and got them back to looking good. Once the mock-up was done, we sent the bulkhead out to paint, and I'm pretty happy with the paint match on this. We used a matte paint so that it would more closely match the original patina. It wouldn't stand out like a sore thumb like a gloss bulkhead would. And I'm pretty happy with the result. We also painted the door frames, new grill, which was also rotted out. And we painted the door hinges and the vent pins because those were a little rusty. We also went with Rocky Mountain door tops because obviously the door tops were completely rotted out. So all those parts were painted in the matte sand paint. And just as a side note, this vehicle is getting a full restoration, just like our normal NAO version 4 full restoration vehicles, except we're leaving the original patina. So under the vehicle will be just like our full restorations. So you can see the disc brakes from Forbin Brothers, and we have 4-wheel disc brakes on the back. You can see the stainless exhaust. We got parabolic springs, Old Man Emu shocks. I did have to use some later 2A axle housings because the original axle housings were a little too pitted to the point where it might be compromising the strength of the housing. We went with a Series 3 fully synchronized transmission. The engine was also used from a mid-60s 2A because the original 2 engine was a little too rough for rebuild. So we went with a mid-60s 2A engine with our fuel injection and all of the parts that we add to our normal restorations, the high torque starter, electronic ignition, spin-on oil filter. So essentially under the Patina body panels, it's really just like one of our full restorations. Another interesting note on this one is that it is getting the NAO Expedition package, which consists of parts that help the vehicle in more of an off-road type use. So it'll be getting Warren M8000 winch. Also, it has limited slip differentials front and rear, and of course the 24 spline half shafts, which are really a necessity on any series. So essentially it has Defender diffs with true tracks, heavy duty 375 to 1 ring and pinions, so it can do highway speeds, and 24 spline half shafts in the rear. That's a really good start for this project. I think this will be a really fun truck, and it'll be certainly one of the few Patina sand vehicles that are out there. So I think I'm gonna really enjoy this vehicle.